Welcome everyone to the Facebook Ads Creative Audit event in partnership with Wizo. Today, the Facebook Ads expert, Justin Lalonde, will provide free creative audits for your business, helping you identify areas for improvement and offering actionable tips for optimizing your advertising campaign. Before I turn it over to Justin, I'd like to quickly introduce Replo. Replo is a visual web development platform that allows teams to create beautiful high-performance landing pages on Shopify without the need for developers. Replo is light years ahead of other page builders when it comes to customization and page speed, and we have a library of hundreds of proven landing page templates that anyone can use, as well as certified experts who can help build custom pages in just a few days. We'd like to extend our gratitude to Justin for hosting this event and his expertise. So without further ado, let's dive into the world of Facebook ads and discover how to unlock their true potential.
Awesome. Thank you for the intro. So with that said, welcome everyone to today's call. I want to start by talking about just, first of all, the landscape of Facebook and especially just ads in general, where we're going with the platform, some of the stuff that we've seen working best with our clients, and this new campaign structure that we've started using. The reason I decided to start with this this piece of the presentation today is because without that campaign structure, you will still find yourself making a lot of different changes in your ad accounts that don't necessarily benefit your creative. In fact, you might actually hinder the performance of your ads. And we've turned our ad account structure around lately thanks to advice from other people in the space that we brought on to audit our accounts at the agency. And since we've seen a boost in performance, but most importantly, we've actually were able to focus more at the ad level. So I want to start by sharing screen and walk you through part of that structure. So what I've got right now opened up on screen is the way that we set up the campaign on our side. So what we do at the ad account level now is we have a simple singular campaign structure. Now, if you're watching that and you are advertising in different markets, you've got lines of product, different core collections, or potentially you have a only women's collection, only a men's collection, then you can make one campaign per each of these. So I just want to preface it by saying that basically what you can have is one campaign per country or markets, collection, event, promotion, launch, etc. So just for the sake of this, I'll walk you through it as if this was one campaign, and then I'll get into the creative part right afterwards. So what we now do at the campaign level is we have a singular campaign. It's prospecting campaign. It's a CBO. We put it on broad. So the only thing that we limit for that, as said right here, there's no interest. It's only limited by the age, gender, country, or region. And we'll exclude a certain amount of purchasers depending on what is your buying cycle. So you might exclude 7, 14, or 30 days to just not tap into the same people over and over again. You do want to focus more on acquisition with self-campaign. So our theory with that, or the way that we lay it out, is like such. There's one main ad set and there's 2 dynamic creative tests. Now, this is where it gets interesting because each of our dynamic creative tests, we focus on a core concept for each one of them, which I'll get into in a second, and how we map out these concepts and how you can do 2 on your side. Side note, but we've also started to use lots of AI to come up with these concepts and help us speed up this research that we do before we launch new ads. So definitely something that you will want to consider when doing it on your side. A DCT, essentially, if you're not familiar with that, it's basically an ad set on Facebook, which you turn on a little toggle that says dynamic creative. What that allows you to do, it's you turn this on at the ad set level, and then what happens is there's one ad under your ad set, and in that ad, you can upload different videos or photos. This way, you create a test where Facebook will dynamically show to the user a certain combination of that test based on what it thinks the user is going to best react with. So looking into it right here, what we do, this structure, the 3-2-2 method, is actually borrowed from another expert in the space, Charlie, who basically what that does is you have 3 ad creatives. So you get 3 photos or 3 videos. So usually 3 type, 2 ad copies, 2 headlines. Usually in that, what you put is your previously best ad copy, previous best headline. So you're not testing anything with those, but you add a new ad copy, a new ad headline in there, and the tests happen at the creative level. Now, hang on with me for a second. I'm just going to finish this like campaign structure right here. You'll get where I'm going with this and why I'm starting with this, because this is the bulk of your entire creative testing process afterwards. So your entire goal with one DCT is you want to find one new combination that is a winner, one new combination that becomes scalable and that is above KPI. Because once you find that, you want to extract that winning combo, take the post ID, move it into your main ad set, and kill the DCT. So what ends up happening is that you find yourself with an ad set full of winning ads. And here, constantly at any given point, you're testing two new concepts at all times. Why? Well, let's just hear about it. You don't need to have 3 ads. You could have more winning ads simultaneously, but there will become a point where you will hit creative fatigue. So these ads, the frequency is going to go up. Audience might have seen these ads 2, 3, 4 times, and then at some point, ROAS is just going to drop. You won't convert as good. And you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you just have to test new DCTs. You have to get back to the drawing board and find new concepts. You just want to constantly find new winning ads, just pull them in here, and you're never really going to hit creative fatigue at this point because you just always you test 2 concepts at all times, so you're always able to fill your main ad set with new variations that will start taking over in the case that an old ad that was a winner now isn't a winner anymore. So why am I talking about this in the first place? If you've listened through this entire part so far, you've noticed that first of all, we're going broad. Second of all, the bulk of your testing is you do dynamic tests. So most of your ad sets are DCTs. So a lot of the pressure, or pretty much the only pressure that we have, is at the ad level. We give Facebook full freedom of targeting and managing budget. And that doesn't come from me. Like, don't take my word for it. What we've done is if you look into the Meta Performance 5, which Facebook released on September 29th of 2022, they talk about a couple points, but some of their key points, the first one is they talk about using their Advantage Plus shopping campaign, which in other words, it uses the power of AI to deliver and manage part of the way your ads are shown, but also those are broad campaigns. And I'll get into a second why we're not using that. But most importantly, the bulk of their Performance 5 is spent talking about creatives. They talk about using creators right here. So as you already know, probably you need to do UGC. Like UGC has become such a big thing since TikTok came around in the last few years. Talking about creative diversification, creative format. So again, you say straight up right here, lean into UGC style ads. But most importantly, what I said earlier, what you want to have here is a DCT per concept. And look at what Facebook tells you. Creative concept, it's about incorporating new messaging and tones into your creative mix. Here, this is the most important part. If you're trying to reach a specific audience, work to ensure the concept of your creative will resonate with that audience. So if you're trying to reach a specific audience, make sure that your creative concept resonates with that audience. They're literally telling you, target your audience through your creative. And this is what we're taking word for word and doing with this new campaign structure. So now, with all of this intro being done, let's see how that looks like in action. So that's a DCT example of a concept that we did for a client of ours, actually, that looks like this. And that's something that you could also do for your own ad account. So when you want to optimize your ad creatives or do a DCT like that, you want to take as an example the same video, same asset, right? You work with the creator, take the same ad set, but in all 3 of them have a different visual hook. So in this case, we had a different banner at the start of all 3 of these. So the only thing we're benchmarking is the visual hook. One variable, same concept. And while you're testing that concept, you could have a totally different concept ran side by side, which basically what I mean by concept, so watching this might call it an angle. We all have different terminology for it, but what we refer to as a concept in this case is as an example being shy. So this is an app that helps people, that helps socially awkward people meet new people online. So one of the concepts is being shy, right? We want to combat the fact that you're shy, that you're socially awkward. Another concept that I could be testing in a different dynamic creative test side by side is being ghosted, right? You don't want to be ghosted. Therefore, you're going to use this app to kind of remove this friction of being ghosted by potential mates. So that's the way we're attacking it. if I now move down a little bit to the creative optimization process, which I think is where a lot of people present will be interested by, is this right here. So we essentially have the creative optimization cycle right there. Would start with the pump stop ratio, which is basically the hook rate, the percentage of people that view the first 3 seconds of your ads versus, and then the second step is like hold rate, which would be percentage of people that view the first 50 seconds of your ad is a through play. And others have actually also, depending on how you want to benchmark it internally, you could also see it as that. You could only benchmark your hold rates from the amount of through plays you have, which is basically above 15-second video view, or if your video is less than that, somebody who's viewed the entire thing after the hook. So this is where probably most people who will be watching this either live or through the recording will be interested in is how do you fix that? How do you make sure that people stay through your entire creative? Because hook rate is talked about a lot. This is where you need to spend the most time initially. And this is where sometimes people will have also trouble finding something that keeps people hooked for the entire video. Because going back to copywriting in the good old days, if you look at something that was done on paper as an example, people had to convert through words. So when you wanted to convert somebody through words, what was the best way to hook somebody in? It was through the headline, right? You wanted to make sure that you had a very strong, punchy headline, and that's what kept people reading. But in this digital age that is mainly the creator economy is what we hear a lot. A lot of videos, especially if you're running as an example TikTok ads, which today we're talking more about Facebook, but nonetheless, hook is super important. So this, if I go back for a quick second to what we had above, you definitely want to make sure that's one of the first things that you do test is your hook, is how strong the initial part of your video is, because this is what will ensure that the next few seconds of your ad that are not wasted. Like if nobody watches the first 3 seconds, then if you've been in an amazing cut or have an amazing CTA at the end, nobody cares because nobody actually pulled through this entire video. And being importance, I think we're underlooking hold rate. And some of the ways that I listed down right here to increase, little typo actually right here, but to increase the hold rates is the following. So one of the easiest one is to work on the pacing. That is like you get more cuts or you potentially speed up the pace. Different angles you can also try, right? So you can just attack, just again, the hook butts. Different angles. What I also meant by that is, let's say I film a scene right now. You guys are seeing me in front of me right there. So if I look straight at the camera, I could also have at the same time a camera recording me from here to my left or to my right or behind me. And while speaking, yes, this goes back to having a cut, but it's a different way of making these different cuts. Because cuts right here could also be just jumping in and out, which is usually what a lot of people will be doing. But asking your creators to record themselves from different angles is also a great way to speed. The last two things I want to mention before potentially giving the place to some people in the call to ask questions if they have is the recipe of your concept. One of the recipes that I could recommend that you use right here is this one, which is the way that you lay out your entire concept, which here would be hook, product intro, solution, benefits, objection handling, social proof, call to action. You could also change which part you put where. You have a bigger emphasis on problem. That also, and I'm not going to get into that, but it becomes basically an issue of where's your customer at in their journey? Are they actually aware they have a problem? Are they aware that you exist, right? So is the solution aware, problem aware? That's something to figure out. But it's the last kind of point that I would want to mention here is just putting an increased emphasis on problem itself. Usually is a good way for you to help increase your hold rate. So with that said, see we've got in the chats Kevin and Albert. Albert, by the way, thank you for making it to the call. Happy to see you on here. And Kevin, curious to ask you guys. Kevin, I see that you're attending the call right now. Kevin, do you have any questions? I guess not. All right. And Albert, I think you're in here with the support at this point, but that's it. Let me just see. All right, Justin, how do you want to go about this from now on?
Yeah, do you want to provide maybe a few examples and kind of walk through them?
Yep, we could go about that. We could do that. Cool. Let me open this up. All right. So those are some of the examples of creatives that we've done at the agency. Actually, let me open one in particular that I would love to show on screen. Some of those we actually built just for our portfolio, like the one that I'm about to show you right now. It was, it's not an ad that ran, but it's one we did for NYX, like an underwear brand. We have worked, perfect. We've worked a lot, funny enough, with underwear and swimwear brands in the past few years. This is one of the clients that we've worked with for quite a while. You can see those are French ads. We're a bilingual agency, so we are from Montreal, Canada. Therefore, we have like a small pool of our clients is French Canadian, that being one of them. But we've also done ads for, that was an ad we did for a portfolio to actually show this brand. Let me look right here. So we can't hear the audio right now. Let me, you know what? I think I can. Let me share screen and get the audio sorted. There you go. Should be able to see it.
When I stopped buying tampons and switched to the best decision of my life is
So initially it's pretty quick, right? Like first second is already a cut.
the best
One thing that I say is usually
is
never more than 3 seconds without a cut, like at max, especially the hook needs more than the first 3 seconds. But having cuts almost every second is usually the best. Keeps the viewer engaged.
when I stopped buying tampons and switched to these period underwears from NYX.
It takes a little bit more than it takes around 4 seconds for the entire hook to have been said on screen, but to have been said aloud on screen. In less than 3 seconds, the hook was said. Usually you read a little faster than what the creator actually says out loud. So again, 3 seconds or less, we've got the hook.
Period underwears from NYX. Their underwear absorbs up to 8 tampons worth and helps keep you protected all day long.
So in this case, we're going to go into benefits, and we also show it in action, kind of dropping water and water not going through this.
Up to 8 tampons worth and helps keep you protected all day long. They're machine washable and the most comfortable underwear.
Benefits, we're just stacking
pair I've
proof
owned.
right there.
As someone who loves anything eco-friendly, I couldn't resist switching to period-proof underwear. I'm definitely happy to.
And then CTA right at the end. Pretty simple. Less than 30-second ad. What we can do with that ad from there, a less than 30-second ad can run as a story or a real ad, I should say, on Facebook. We could also use that on TikTok. We can also split this ad. The reason we made it 30-second, we can make it into 2 15-second ads. And that allows us to have story ads, let's say on Facebook and Instagram. And that's about it. So that's an example of that. And now let me get another one up and running right now. This one is a little bit more slower paced. In fact, looking back at it, I'm 99% sure we can improve that. I was actually looking forward to the people from this brand, I think were initially supposed to be on the call. That right here, that was also a portfolio piece that we have done in the last few months for Bloom.
If you love your
lattes.
morning coffee but also suffer from bloating or headaches, here's a little life hack for you.
Hook took 5 seconds on that one. So a little slower pace. Again, looking back at it, I would have preferred speeding this up initially. Creators spoke a little slow also on there. Could have sped up with editing, but just let's keep it rolling.
Coffee for the sweater weather bundle from Bloom. Bloom the caffeine, syrups, and dairy for whole food ingredients.
So again, just stacking those either features and or benefits right there.
The healthiest PSL you can drink this fall.
And that was something that was for the fall season. So there's also the main kind of a
in the morning,
cozy warm vibe.
With a shot of espresso to drink on my way to a workout class. You need to try them out for yourself.
There you go. That was kind of it right there. So that example right here, there is, I see a question in chat, which I'll open to in a second. But it's give some context to it, that was the goal, was to make an ad after doing some research on the brand itself, even though it's not a brand that we personally had worked with. We found that audience was usually women. It was kind of your 25 to 30-year-old woman. We figured out that was the type of woman that would probably do Pilates, or that would go to yoga, or that would go to do workout. And that was probably somebody who liked the pumpkin spice latte. So it's the whole angle that we attacked with this. So is TikTok dead? Should brands put Meta first? It's a pretty good question. I don't think TikTok is actually dead. Not yet, at least. There's a lot of talks of it potentially being banned, which that is worrisome for both agencies, I think, and on the brand side. Hopefully nobody watching this or nobody attending this call right now had eggs within TikTok. I always recommend brands to at least be on 2 ad channels. A lot of the content that we see working best on TikTok usually is working pretty good also on Facebook. So luckily, if you're one of these people that did a lot of TikTok but haven't really dove into Facebook yet, then definitely I'd say like you can download all this content that you already made for TikTok and then start using it on Facebook right now. I think it's probably the best time for you to do it. And in fact, depending on who you are, and if you're like a Meta supporter like we are at the agency, a lot of our ad spend is still primarily spent on Meta. TikTok being banned would only be good because it would probably mean a surge of people back to Instagram and lower CPMs. So ultimately, that would be a good thing. But to actually answer your question, should brands put Meta first? In my opinion, yes. I do believe that most brands should be Meta first. You've got a lot more freedom on the creative side. You can test both static and video. And on the video side, it doesn't have to just be UGC. You can try just regular video ads, which if you're doing TikTok, it's pretty much only UGC. There's not a lot of static, and like those corporate video styles, those more edited videos usually don't perform as good. But that's about it. Last thing that I'll say on that, which was not part of your question, but just to add maybe a little bit more value to it. Looking at, I had a poll on Twitter in the last few days, was curious to see what other people in the space were seeing. But from a lot of our ad accounts and ad accounts I've audited over the last few weeks, I've noticed every single brand that was winning at TikTok right now was going broad. And that is already an observation that we had done, as shown initially on Facebook. But on TikTok used to be known to be more interest-based. And it sounds like it's starting to be a lot more broad. And through that poll, actually only one person answered that they were seeing interests were still working better for them on TikTok. So that kind of tells you a little bit more about the market in itself. How many creators should we test per week? That's a good one. It'll depend. I think it'll depend on the budgets. If I showed it earlier, you've got 2 DCTs, but nothing prevents you from making another one of these campaigns and having more DCTs being tested. But it depends. I'd say probably 2 to 4, like 2 to 4 concepts. Which, if each concept has 3 creatives, do the math, it's 6 to 4 times 3, 6 to 12 essentially that you have. So anywhere from 6 to 12 a week, I would say, is a pretty good pace for most people who are here right now. And some metrics that I haven't shared in the call so far, but if you're looking through, because earlier I was sharing about hook rate and hold rates, you definitely want to look for higher than 25% hook rates to have something pretty good, meaning that at least 1 out of 4 people that sees your ad on the feed should stick through the first 3 seconds. So this is, again, a metric that is available already on Facebook, but you can also turn that into a custom metric if you want to see it in percentages. But definitely, you want to aim for above 25% and good hold rates close, roughly 10%. So anywhere 7-10% would be if somebody stayed through the entire video. You also got to think about one thing that's on this also I haven't mentioned earlier, but if your hook is so strong, or if you give a lot of value at the start of the video, it's something that we've seen actually on one account, one of the underwear accounts I showed earlier. If like your hook's very strong and the start of your video, like you already lead in with like a pretty good offer, that usually would be for a market that is like very aware of the solution that you offer. sometimes hold rate is actually really bad because people are just going to click straight away on the ad and want to go through the website. That also happens. So hold rate is one of these where I would say like aiming for, again, close to 10% is usually like a good benchmark, as close as possible to it. But don't also take that as like the holy grail. Like if you have an ad that is, I don't know, let's say a 5% hold rate, but has an amazing ROAS, then in this case, you might still have a winner. It doesn't mean because the rate is a little lower that the ad is not scalable. Maybe your hook or start of your video is just stronger. How do you scale on TikTok ads once you have seasoned Pixel and found the best performing bidding strategies, targeting, etc.? Pretty good question. So there's a couple different ways, and it's that I don't think there's like a good and a bad way to do it. Right now, we scale in a very similar way that we do it on Facebook. From the structure that I showed earlier, we're more about the vertical scaling on there. So we're just gonna increase the budget by roughly percent looking at the last 3 days, and then do so on the entire campaign for up until it breaks, honestly. So pretty conservative considering all things. Some agencies I know are scaling it by like 50% off the start. We feel comfortable most with that 20%. Whereas I've also seen other people, they just go horizontally. They'll just keep duplicating the same winning ad many times over. They won't touch the budget by, they're afraid of it potentially messing the ad's performance, but they'll just keep on duplicating the same ad over and over again. But personally, we just go particularly at the campaign level. So we'll just scale the entire campaign by 20%. Feel free to keep them questions coming, guys. Don't be afraid to drop them below. Learning TikTok and Facebook beginners. There's a lot on YouTube. I'd say there's like myself, I'm very present on YouTube. Shameless plug, but if you write my name on YouTube, you can find my content. In the last year and a half, I've posted like 402 videos. So there's a lot of content on there. There are other guys like Nick Therio, Professor Charlie, Dara Denny, who's amazing for creatives. All these guys, like Dara is amazing for the creative side. If you really want to look at, check out Dara Denny. But yeah, Facebook ads, I'd say like myself, Professor Charlie, and Nick Therio are all good channels for you to check out. TikTok, there's Chase Chappell, who's done like a few videos also on YouTube that I found pretty good personally. So I would recommend these resources for you to check out. I've also done a few videos on TikTok, but in full transparency, we're more meta focused than we are TikTok focused. So like the bulk of our spend at the agency, over 80% of the ad spend is on Facebook. So we still have right now 4 out of the 12 accounts or 12 clients that we manage who are on TikTok. But I wouldn't sit here and call myself like the ultimate TikTok experts. We're definitely more meta. So check those out. Awesome. I appreciate it. Abdel, sounds like you've taken a look at them already. So that's good. Should Ben do everything in-house or work with an agency? That's a pretty good, I actually have a good story for that. So for the first time ever, after 3 years now, or almost 3 years of running our agency, we had, last year we had a problem because we work with percentage deals with a lot of the brands that we work with, and we kept on scaling a few of our brands. And at some point, retainers or I mean, not the retainers, but the performance fee was quite heavy. And we've had one brand leave and then another one. And I was like, okay, there's a problem at this point. Like we're too much. We got to figure out how to find back this balance. And in December, one brand left because they were saying that our fees were getting high. Like in all transparency, more than 4x our initial fees through time, just through the performance. We were billing a percentage, and that percentage really grew because we grew the account a lot. A brand from the UK, a fashion brand, they left in December. They tried to build their in-house team, came back in February, said like, look, they crashed the results. It's much harder than we thought. We love to work back with you guys, but we need to readjust pricing, which we did. So we took them back on, and now they're doing great. So I'd say for that, I've also made a video on that, I think a few months ago. It was the 4 stages of e-commerce kind of paid advertising, which stage 1, brands below $500,000 or maybe even $1 million a year, but mostly below the $500,000 mark a year. they just can't afford to work with freelancers or agency. Like you don't have enough money to spare to work with this agency, or if you do, it's honestly going to be for some freelancer online that might not be the best suited for your brand. You're only going to be able to find somebody that does it all, and they won't do anything really good. So you're better off trying to do it yourself at this point. Then over $500,000 a year, you can start working with smaller agencies, slightly bigger agencies. And there becomes a point when a brand is right around that high 7-8 figure mark where they're going to want to bring it in-house, which I think makes absolute sense. Like if you're making 8-9 figures, bring it in-house, you want to pump out landing pages super quick. You want to pump out emails super quick. You want to pump out ads as you want. And interestingly, we found that there's stage kind of 4 of that, which is when brands get to a point where they're high 8-9 figures, they're going to want to start working with an agency again for outside consultancy, because their team starts to get pretty big and they're either out of touch with the market, or they just want outside perspective, or maybe they've got so much budget to put on ads that they'd rather allocate one to an outside to have some form of healthy competition within their business. And that's something that we did actually last year with a Chinese company that advertised in the US. They're making like $25 million a year, super big in Target, Walmart. They're like everywhere. And we basically competed against a team of 15 in-house that they had on their side. Just again, because they wanted outside help to see if somebody else could do something better with their account. So I'd say it depends on your stage. There's no one size fits all. I wouldn't say like they should do it in-house or not. It depends on how much you're making. There's these kind of 4 stages where logically you should aspire to go through those as you grow.
Awesome, Justin. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for joining. Really awesome presentation. I learned a lot today. We're going to be doing this again real soon. And yeah, I hope everyone learned something today. And Justin, thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a good day.